Hello, and welcome to Getting Goosebumps, the podcast where we venture into the spine-tingling worlds of R.L. Stine. My name is Stacy.
I'm always tired. I'm Alison.
And I'm Mickey.
You always creep me out. No matter what you do, it's
I
always
know.
creepy.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, you shouldn't apologize.
I am not tired today. I am actually very excited because today we are going to talk about Night of the Living Dummy, book number 7. I am so stoked. I hope you guys are ready.
I'm ready. Oh, you mean them?
No,
Yeah,
everybody. I want
Okay.
everybody to be ready. Listeners, contributors, hosts, whoever.
Contributors? Who's
We're all
contributing?
R.L.
We
Stine.
Oh, R.L.
He's our number one contributor.
Yeah. True. I was
He
like, Stacy,
provides
getting
so
some
much
money on the
content.
side? Okay.
All right, so I am going to read the summary for this book. Yep.
Let's do.
Good job.
Identical twins Lindy and Chris Powell, otherwise average 12-year-old girls, are fiercely competitive with each other. Their sibling rivalry escalates when Lindy finds a discarded ventriloquist dummy in a dumpster by a construction site. She's instantly charmed by the doll and discovers she has a knack for ventriloquism. But Chris gets jealous and wants a dummy of her own. So their father gets her one, but Chris is not as talented as her twin. Competition and cruel pranks continue, and Lindy's antics become disturbing. She's using the dolls to scare Chris, who begins to question her own sanity. When Chris reads a strange note found in Mr. Wood's shirt, the real terror begins. Mr. Wood comes to life, and he is not nice. He is hell-bent on making the twins his slaves, and Mr. Wood must be stopped. They manage to lock him in a suitcase and bury him in the same construction site they find him near. But he escapes, and only by flattening him with a steamroller are they able to finally defeat him. The nightmare is over, until they return home and discover that Slappy is waiting for them, and he's much worse than Mr. Wood would ever be.
Very, very creepy.
I'm so excited to talk about this book, but first we should probably talk about the cover.
Yeah.
Which features Slappy, who is not the star of this book.
No, he's barely there.
He's the other dummy who makes an appearance, who makes his debut, we'll say, right at the end.
It's almost like Friday the 13th. The first Friday.
Yeah.
Jason is the star of Friday the 13th, but he is not the original killer.
Right.
What? I didn't even know that.
No.
Oh, spoiler alert, I guess.
Oh no, it's only been for 40 years.
I mean, it's a pretty good twist.
Jeez.
It was his mom. Spoiler alert.
Okay,
Everybody listening? Sorry.
Sorry to spoil this movie from the 70s.
But it's a similar thing where you think it's Slappy, but it's not Slappy in this book.
Mm-hmm.
But I still love the cover.
Yeah, it is a strange choice, but it's just it's an iconic cover. It's much more simple than some of the others we've seen and will see. Instead of like this decadent scene, it's just a shadowed picture of what I'm assuming is Slappy.
Yeah, because he's wearing Slappy's tuxedo and bow tie.
Yep, he's got the dark hair. And what we call that in the film industry is a close-up. Am I right, Stacy?
Yes.
Yeah, nice. We there. Us all in the film industry. But yeah, no, it's just a very his skin is very shiny, clearly fake. But it's really horrifying, like the amount of his glistening lip, the gaping maw of his mouth.
Wow, you're really getting into this.
It's a horrifying cover. Like, I just feel I feel bad for Mr. Wood, even though Mr. Wood is also evil.
And it's red and yellow, which is interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like a weird combination too. Which I didn't even really notice, even though their colors are staring me in the face. But now it just makes me think of McDonald's.
I was just gonna say that.
Also,
very fast food.
Red and yellow are the colors that are supposed to inspire hunger in people that see those colors. So I wonder what's going on there.
I don't think they thought that far into it.
Probably not.
Most of the international covers actually feature the same exact image, except for France, which went a very creepy way with the doll. But I love
France
it.
is amazing. Can we post that in Discord so that Mickey can see that if she's not already looking?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, the dummy in that picture has like a much more flesh-like appearance, but still the horrible features of a dummy.
Ooh. Also, so Goosebumps in French is chair de poule? Poule?
Yeah, you got it.
Chair de poule.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Which I'm assuming means like
Bump
skin of poultry.
Oh. Yeah, what's the phrase over there for Goosebumps? It's not a worldwide phrase.
I assume poule is like chicken or poultry or something.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
That's really funny.
I like the actual name of this book in Korean is Laughter of a Wooden Doll.
Ooh, that's good.
That's terrifying.
It really is.
The Korean cover is once again very jarring. They typically tend to go for a more cartoony style, but it's always awful. Here, I'll show that one to you as well.
Okay, we need to get started on this book because there is so much that happens, and I'm so excited to talk about it with you guys.
All right, let's get into it.
Yes. We started with Chris and Lindy. As we mentioned, they are twins, two 12-year-old girls, and they are fiercely competitive in a way. They are constantly competing, and there's also a lot of pranks going on. It's always like, haha, I got you. There's
an edge of like meanness.
Yeah.
It seems to be it's sibling rivalry, but it seems to be a little bit more. Maybe it's just amplified because they're twins.
Yeah, like at the beginning of the book, it seems like sort of regular, like siblings teasing each other, which like we've had in these books before. Usually it's like an older and younger sibling. Mm-hmm. But as the book progresses, it becomes more and more like, oh, these kids are actually kind of being mean to each other.
Yeah, like maybe calm down.
Yeah, like take a chill pill. I'm agreeing with the parents for once, for a while.
Oh, yeah. Book. That's a good point.
I think the parents were not addressing this appropriately at all because clearly these kids need help.
Yeah, we will get to that when we get to that. I have some things to say about these parents and their parenting.
This is a book.
The situation.
This is a book about the need for therapy for children.
Yeah, like, it really is.
We've seen some disturbed kids in these Goosebumps books, but these, I remember the first time we read this, like being legitimately almost speechless with how disturbed we were.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll get you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a house being built behind their house, the Powell's house. And this is where Lindy finds a dummy, a ventriloquist dummy in the dumpster. She names him Slappy, and he is the beautiful face that's on the cover of the book.
Beautiful gaping maw.
Also, I love the name Slappy. Just gonna put that out there. I mean, I don't know if that's influenced by the fact that I already know Slappy as an established character, because spoiler, he comes in later in the series. But it's just a fun name, Slappy. I love it.
Yeah, it's a good innocuous name for a ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah. It's just so dumb. I love it.
Yeah.
Chris is immediately jealous of her sister because Lindy has a knack for ventriloquism. They practice... Oh, sorry?
Well, no, I was just going to say she uses it to, she becomes, super popular, or to basically not super popular, but people, are impressed.
Yeah.
And, kids are all yeah, look at this dummy, which I don't know if I buy
this
that.
is when I first start really feeling bad for Chris, because there's no reason other children should think it's cool that her sister has a ventriloquism dummy.
Yeah.
And also, who has a natural knack for ventriloquism? And for that to happen when it's your twin sister and she's like, I'm just good at it. I've been doing it for longer than you, when it's been 2 days.
Yeah. And also just what child or what 12-year-old kid is going to be aw, sweet, a ventriloquist dummy. Yeah, can you make its mouth move while yours doesn't? Yeah! Like,
I know.
Like, I don't.
Yeah, so Lindy takes off with this. She is popular at school, like you said. She's asked to perform at one of the neighbor kids' birthday parties. But at some point, Chris starts to get agitated. She wants a dummy too, so the parents encourage the girls to share. And I don't think Lindy is very excited about this. And in a way, rightfully so. She found it. She's excited about it. But at one point, the parents ask them to share, and Slappy yells, "Beat it, Chris. Get lost, you stupid moron," and slaps Chris in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the first time we get a glimpse of, like, oh, things are quite cruel in this book. Okay.
Well,
something weird is happening here.
I can't remember as a child reading this if I had any feeling of like, oh, maybe the dummy's alive. Ooh. Or because as an adult I'm reading this and I mean, obviously I know the ending and I'm thinking back on it, but as an adult reading this, I'm like, okay, so this kid just slapped her sister with a doll. Like, it's like, dang, calm down. Like, I don't know
if there were. I don't remember if there were repercussions for this either.
Probably not. Oh, you kids and your slapping.
But Mr. Powell finally breaks down and he buys Chris a dummy of her own that he's found in a secondhand shop or an antique shop, something like that. This dummy has red hair, blue jeans, and a red and green flannel shirt. Oh, plus white high tops, which sounds super
sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, he is actually way better dressed than Slappy, I gotta say. Like, his outfit sounds cool as heck.
Yeah, he sounds like normal. He sounds like a chill dude. Slappy's just a weird tuxedo man.
Slappy's essentially Pee Wee Herman. That's his look.
Yeah, it is.
You know?
The new dummy is called Mr. Wood, which is not a great name.
Not a good name.
It really devalues the sick threads he's wearing.
I mean, it does emphasize how bad at this the one sister is compared to the other.
Yeah, she's real bad.
Exactly, because then she starts practicing and her friend Cody comes over and she's like, let me try my jokes on you.
No.
And it's so bad, and Cody's like, no thanks, and quickly makes an exit, like, oh, I have to go home now. Because it's so bad. And this was such like it was painful and hilarious at the same time, that whole scene.
Yeah, also, can I say, I know he's just like a very minor character in this book. I kind of really appreciate the character of Cody. Because he's a child, and he's just like, I'm not gonna put up any pretenses. This is bad. I'm bored and I'm leaving.
Yeah, because like most kids would just kind of go along with it, and he just has the wherewithal to be like, "No, madam, I do not enjoy this," and leaves.
Yeah, I appreciate the honesty.
I just wrote, "Not impressed," exits quickly.
Basically.
That's a Shakespearean ending right there. That's like a note. It's a footnote.
Totally.
Exit pursued by a slappy.
So Chris is not good at this. And then we have our first instance of the dummy supposedly moving on its own because Chris has laid out her nice clothes for the next day. There's some sort of class party that she's attending. And in the morning, Mr. Wood has moved from his spot in the chair to propped up against the door, where he's now dressed in Chris's nice clothes, but he's gotten everything wrinkly. So she panics a little bit, like, what is this? Why is he wearing my clothes? What's going on? And Lindy's like, I don't know. I have no idea. But she does have an idea. She does.
She does. She has the idea.
Yeah. This is messed up.
This is so messed up. Like,
it's just beginning to get messed up, but...
And then it culminates, but,
I have another note here where Mr. Wood yells, "You're a stupid jerk, stupid moron, get lost," to Chris, and Lindy swears it's not her. I don't remember the context of this, but it's just another instance of the awful things that are coming out of the mouths of the dummies.
And so, okay, I'm okay, guys. I'm not great at like keeping up with like plot things unless they're really, really clear. And in this book, okay, so still, the dummies are not actually alive at this point, right?
No.
So this really is all Lindy.
Yeah. So
that's messed up, dude.
We find that out.
Yeah.
Even a bit further in, I would say that Lindy is perpetrating all of this as like a cruel gotcha on her sister, and I think I made all of these notes because these are serious things that she's doing. This doesn't feel like just
right. If
pranks.
it was like one little thing, and then immediately after she was like, haha, gotcha, like, which is what they were doing sort of back and forth at the beginning, like, oh, I tricked you, haha. But this, she's like, it's like a long con, which is really messed up. It's like full literal gaslighting that she's doing.
What about
I know everybody overuses gaslighting these days, but this is literal textbook gaslighting.
Yeah, this isn't me. You're just, this is the dummies. Like, Lindy has some mental issues. Like, what about when she makes Mr. Wood strangle Slappy?
Yeah, that's my next note, is that they're posed to look like Mr. Wood is strangling Slappy, and that terrifies Chris because her dummy is apparently abusive. So
yeah.
Which, like, don't they find that because they hear, like, weird noises?
Possibly.
Yeah, because it's in the middle of it's in the night. Chris puts Mr. Wood in the closet for the night, but next morning he's sitting next to Slappy again. That's after they find him posed in the fight.
But
I assume up until this point it's just like Lindy is, the things that she's doing in the night she's just able to do without her sister waking up. I don't know. I think we're not supposed to think too far into, like, how Lindy is pulling it off. Just that she's like, oh, she just has this natural ventriloquist talent, so she can, like, throw her voice when she needs to and all that.
Yeah, so she's doing a lot of talking as the dummies. She's moving the dummies around, posing them. It's very intense. And at this point, we still don't know that she's the one doing it. So you have that, like, oh my god, are they moving on their own?
Yeah, maybe they really are. Oh my gosh, yeah. Because the alternative is, for once, even more horrifying.
It kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, I found they didn't hear any noise. They had just gone upstairs after, like, going to the mall or something, and Slappy was upside down, falling off his chair.
See, but you remembered that there might have been a noise. That's how good Lindy is. She made you think there was a noise.
She's gaslighting me.
Yeah.
She's making me question my sanity.
Yeah.
Look, Mr. Wood, Chris's voice caught in her throat. Mr. Wood was sprawled on top of Slappy. His hands were wrapped around his throat and strangling.
Okay, so, like, bad child and evilness, like, aside, Lindy must be, like, so very talented at this.
I mean,
she must be so good at ventriloquism.
She's very good at ventriloquism. She's also extremely good at gaslighting
because she's
her sister.
Psycho.
She's also very good.
I know, but what if we could funnel that energy into something positive? It's all I'm saying.
Well, this is why we need a more vigorous rehabilitation.
Yeah, this is why we need professionals involved.
In the American incarceration.
We're going to incarcerate her.
Well, she probably needs to be put into some sort of, but anyway, but it just, like, just reading this and knowing that it's Lindy, because Lindy admits at this point that Lindy admits later on that she was doing all this prior, and, like, Chris, after they found her choking, Chris is like, I don't believe this. She turned and caught the frightened expression on Lindy's face. What's going on? Lindy cried. For Lindy, okay, so there's only two alternatives here. There's absolutely two options. The first option is that Lindy is insane. Lindy is insane, and she's doing all of this and getting a very sick thrill out of just messing with her sister and horrifying her, and she's just enjoying all this crazy stuff. The other side of this is Slappy is already alive. But no, because then why would Mr.
He's
Wood,
not.
who isn't, be choking?
Yeah, he's not.
It's just
I thought when I couldn't remember what the actual like logistics were as I was reading it, I thought, oh, was the twist that Slappy was alive the whole time? But then I realized later, nope, there was nothing magical going on at this point. It was just Lindy. Because nothing magical happens until later when the note is read the first time.
And then
the note is read a second time, and that is why Slappy comes alive.
Yeah, and if Slappy had been alive the whole time, then why would Lindy admit that she had been doing all of this?
Right.
Unless he's like mind controlling her, but that's just a whole other
layer I can see that being a story, but I don't think that was this story.
I love Mr. Stein, Papa Stein, but we've read many of his books, and I think we know him pretty well. That if that had been the case, it would have been addressed in the book. It wouldn't have been. There's. I love you, Papa Stein, but there's very little subtlety in his books. It's always like, oh, so this was happening. Yes, the following that I said is what happened. So,
Let's get to the big night.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah,
God.
so there's still a few more to happen before we get there.
Yeah.
So in addition to Chris and Lindy dealing with, the weird puppet things going on, like that's enough for a 12-year-old girl to get stressed about. But Lindy's still doing really well with her ventriloquism. So she's asked to go on a local talent search TV show. And Chris is asked to host a school assembly or school concert with both with the dummies. But so Chris still is feeling this, oh my God, Lindy's doing better than I am. She's so stressed. She throws her dummy on the floor at one point. She's like at a breaking point. And for me, I thought through a lot of this book that Chris, I didn't really like her. There was something wrong with her. She's super stressed and angry all the time. But then as the book went on, I was like, wow, she has a lot of reason to feel this way. And then especially once we do find out that Lindy was doing everything, I was like, oh, okay, she's just dealing with trauma. And the other girl is the crazy one.
Okay, yeah. Can I introduce, I think this is a good spot to introduce my master theory. It's not just that there's something wrong with Lindy. I think it takes two to tango. And we're looking at a folie à deux situation.
I was just gonna say that. The madness of whether there's a madness shared by two or something.
Yeah. Because I think it's not so any kid would, I think most kids their age would quote fall for these pranks and stuff. It's easy to fall into. But I think perhaps there's something with Chris that she is so disturbed and traumatized that she's buying into it more than she should be. And so it's like this reciprocal back and forth thing where Lindy doesn't even have to do that much to make Chris go completely insane. Because I think they're sharing a little something here because they're so close.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. Their lifetime of competition,
I truly don't believe that R.L. Stine was going for that, but this is the fan theory that I am going with.
He has to be a little bit because the levels in this book are, and that's probably why I enjoy it so much, because we have so much about the human psyche going on.
Yeah.
And then we have the dummies too, and I think that makes it doubly creepy in that we got real life creepy and horrors, and we got the supernatural stuff. And I loved it.
I feel like, and we've talked about this before as a quick aside, especially with Don't Go Into the Basement and the plants that are half people, half plant, meaty, beefy plants. I feel like R.L. Stine, as much as I love the Goosebumps series, I feel like he is harboring this really dark, sort of horrifying storyteller inside of him that he kept tempered through these stories that had, sometimes deadly, sometimes, actually dangerous, but we only ever get hints of it every now and then.
Yeah, because then we have all the let's get invisible and you can't hear me mixed in.
And so I would I would love to read a completely unhinged. Did he ever write any adult horror novels?
That's a good question.
Fear Street books.
There's the Fear Street series, which is like a teenage.
Those,
right?
and I gotta tell you, some of those are pretty messed up.
They are. I remember reading.
So we need to sprinkle some of those in occasionally.
Yeah, we should,
because
I traveled from Goosebumps as a kid to Fear Street as like a preteen, and then I went like from Fear Street right into Dean Koontz and Stephen King, which are full-on adult novels that I should not have been reading at 11.
Yeah, and speaking of that, like, I'm, who doesn't love Stephen King? I'm sure R.L. Stine is a Stephen King fan, but, like, I would love to see a list of R.L. Stine's favorite horror movies and books and stuff, and see what has influenced these. Because we can draw, like, a lot of very,
we should ask him on Twitter.
We should ask him.
Papa Stein, please tell.
Papa Stein,
please, Papa.
what are your influences?
Please, Papa, please tell us.
Okay, wait, we have to talk about the nights.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
The
turn.
Chris makes her way down to the kitchen.
One night, late at night.
One night, yes, in the middle of the night, to discover it's a mess. Everything has been pulled from the fridge and is now all over the floor. And in the middle sits Mr. Wood, covered in Chris collects junk jewelry or something like that. She thinks it's cool. She likes all the bracelets and necklaces. And now they're also all over the floor, mixed into the garbage and food, worn by Mr. Wood. It's just an absolute mess, scattered everywhere. What a waste of food. And then Lindy goes down and they're shocked and horrified. The mom comes down and she's like, oh my God, what is this? What do we do? The girls have to clean up the mess. They take a while.
In a not appropriate reaction to this really disturbing scene that if one of the children had done, the mother was just like, well, you girls, don't make me take away your dolls.
Well,
wouldn't you be concerned? Wouldn't you be concerned at this point?
I would hope that I would know my kids enough to know that something was very wrong, but also in this exact moment, like, it's the middle of the night and I come into my kitchen and my kids are there and the entire refrigerator is emptied onto the floor, I would just be mad and tired too.
That's fair. Like, in
that moment. But everything else, everything else that had led up to it and, like, the day-to-day stuff, like, she's been there when they're sniping at each other, and, like, I would think that their parents would have seen some of these signs coming.
Yeah, and at this point, yes, I agree. I'd probably be livid.
Oh, yeah.
But this is like a catalyst where it's like, okay, this has gone too far, and what on God's green earth would lead you to dump all of the fridge contents onto the floor? What? Why? That's such an extreme thing for the kids to do that at this point, as a parent, I probably would have sat them down and been like, we need to talk. Something here is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, she really was just like, I'm taking away the dummies. Clean this up and I'm taking them away. And that was essentially it.
And then the girls go upstairs, and this is when the bomb is dropped. This is when Lindy announces that she's been doing all of this all along. The dummies aren't alive. She's been doing it to prank her sister. And I feel like at this point is when, if I were Chris, I would have broken. I would have just lost my mind.
Can I just read this scene, because it's chilling. I'll just read the little bit where it's oh God, it makes me really afraid of Lindy. So Lindy wakes up Chris by pretending that one of the dummies is calling from the closet because she's just so good at ventriloquism. And then Chris is like, something horrible is going on here, and Lindy goes, and I know who's doing it, Lindy whispered, leaning over her twin, putting a comforting hand on her quivering shoulder. Huh? Yes, I know who's been doing it all, Lindy whispered. I know who it is. Like, just that alone? Oh my God. Who? Chris said breathlessly. Who? Chris repeated, tears running down her cheeks. I have, Lindy said. Her smile spread into a grin almost as wide as Slappy's. She closed her eyes and laughed. Like...
Yeah. It's disturbing at this point because it's not like, oh, I got you for a second and that was funny to me and I'm reacting. Like, it's been probably at least a couple hours since Lindy set up the kitchen thing.
Mm-hmm.
They had to clean it up. Their mom got mad at both of them. They've both been punished. And now Chris is crying.
Mm-hmm.
And Lindy starts laughing and says it was me.
And when Chris says, "Why'd you do it?" Lindy goes, "For fun."
Yeah.
I love this. I love this book so
it's
much.
So disturbing.
So
it's
again,
so disturbing.
Either R.L. Stine accidentally made this really deeply horrifying, if you like actually look at it, or he knew what he was doing, and this is that dark edge that I was thinking that he really has. That like bleeds out every so often in his novels.
It has to be. I mean, I know siblings fight and they go at each other, but this is long thought out, like torture over weeks. It's been at least a few weeks now.
Yeah, I can say as a middle child, their siblings do go at each other, but it's usually a heat of the moment thing. You know, like you'll prank someone and then laugh about it, or you'll like say something snotty and then like get in a wrestling match or something. That's like normal. But like to draw something out for like for any child to think that much into a prank is very, very disturbing.
Yeah, like putting that much effort into wanting someone to suffer is
and not just
a
someone,
good sign.
Your sibling, and not
and
just your sibling, your
her
twin,
but
the person
her
you're supposed
mother.
to be the closest with.
Because it was not just Chris getting affected. Like her mom saw this. She wanted her mom, or either knew that her mom wouldn't actually believe them, and she was like, okay, that's fine. But like the fact that she stood there and lied, like bold-faced to her mother in front of her twin, doing all of this for fun. Just layers and layers.
It's all, but as much as her parents are involved, it's all at Chris's expense.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing. It's all just to mess with Chris. Just to mess with her.
Of disturbing right there. They could do a study.
Disturbing.
They could do a study on these twins. Like, seriously.
But now we get into the second half, which is even more madness.
Oh, man. But it's kind of a relief, though. Because it's not somebody doing it at the expense of a loved one.
Not a human, it's a crazy doll.
It's just regular old horror.
Yeah, it's fun, comedic horror.
This is where I start having fun in the book.
Yes, same. Okay.
We get to the Mickey half.
Chris discovers a note inside Mr. Wood's pocket. She opens it up and reads it, and it's some weird words she doesn't recognize that she reads out loud. Nothing comes of it, but the girls do a routine. They do their ventriloquist routines for their elderly neighbors who have stopped over for a visit. I love the description of the neighbors. I feel like this is Michaela's favorite character.
Can I have you read the magic words real quick, though, just in case you have any dummies near you that need to come to life?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I want you to do it. I don't
have them. I didn't write them down.
I don't want anything I own to come to life. Mickey, you do it.
I don't have the words in front of me either.
I think we're.
It's okay. We'll do it on our own time.
Yeah, we'll do it in the dark in front of the mirror.
Okay. Yeah.
What are they, the Millers?
But the old couple. Yes, I loved them. I adored them.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. They feel like some ice cream soup or strawberry soup kind of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But Mr. W, that's what I wrote in my notes. It's just Mr. W.
Mr. Wood.
Mr. Wood proceeds to say really mean things about the elderly couple. Yeah. And everyone is appalled. Absolutely appalled.
So he calls them stupid, ugly,
old. I don't remember.
False teeth. How'd you get your teeth that disgusting shade of yellow? Does your bad breath do that? And they're both just like, whoa, hey, stop that. And Chris is like, oh, I didn't say that. Like, I really didn't say any of that.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Is that a mustache or are you eating a rat?
Ugh.
Don't laugh so hard. You might drop your false teeth. And how do you get your teeth that disgusting shade of yellow? Does your bad breath do that? So awful. Really, like, awful, vile things he's saying to these old people, and they're very offended. Mm-hmm. And Chris doesn't know what to do because she's not doing this. The parents get kind of upset.
Kind of. kind of upset.
Kind of
Hey,
upset.
apologize for the really disturbing things you said, young lady.
And another instance where they don't take their kids to counseling after this. I don't know. If you really believed it was your kid, this is just another tick on the list of extreme things they probably shouldn't be doing even for a normal child.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
But then we get to the concert that Chris is hosting, the school concert.
The talent show, whatever.
And just picturing this in my mind makes me so happy. I don't do vomit, but it makes me so happy.
This is why they couldn't film it, because this is just, you can't.
I'll do it. I'll do it for free. I don't care how much it costs.
What I was going to say is you can't capture this perfection on film.
I bet I could. This was my favorite scene. Sorry.
It's amazing. No, I'm so excited.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah.
Because Chris goes out on stage with Mr. Wood, and there's a teacher there who's like helping her set up. She's fixing the microphone for Chris. Mrs. Berman. And Mr. Wood starts throwing out insults at her. More vile insults, fat jokes, awful things. So mean to her.
The face reminds me of a wart I had removed.
Just awful. It's so funny. I'm sorry. And then he proceeds to vomit this pea green soupy liquid that has a putrid smell that they described as like rotting eggs and meat and every disgusting thing you could think of.
It spews from his mouth with, I think they say, the intensity of like a fire hose.
Yes, all over the audience. So everyone in there is getting covered in this putrid pea green liquid. It's amazing. It's so amazing. And
love that this happens and everyone is just like, man, this Chris kid is awful. Like,
how did they think she did this?
Like, that's one thing. It's like there's this girl with this small ventriloquist dummy, and suddenly there's, a swimming pool-sized amount of liquid that sprays into the audience. And they're just like, yeah, that makes sense. Logically, she must have hidden a Ziploc bag of it in her pocket. Like, what?
Still don't take this girl to therapy.
No.
Still just like, Chris, don't do that. She locks him in the closet, though. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure you're suspended for life, or whatever the teacher tells her. I think I would have just vomited.
I would call the police, is what I would do. Like, okay, first off, for domestic terrorism, because you've created this essentially chemical warfare that you're spraying on the students.
Right. I don't know if that would hold up in court, but
maybe.
But now I'm super stoked because she locks him in the closet, Mr. Wood, when they get home. But he gets out because he can walk and talk. And one of his favorite things to talk about is how that they are going to be his slaves. And I think this is the funniest thing ever. He just refers to them as slaves. But slightly traumatizing. He gets into a fight with Chris. Where he gets just violent, and then they fall down the stairs. He punches her. I get that he's a dummy, probably doesn't have the most intense punch, but he's beating up these children
the whole way. Imagining this, it was so funny to me. And like, I also for some of the books I read the actual book, some of them I read a text version, and some of them I've been listening to like the audiobooks. And I listened to an audiobook for this, and the narrator's
an audiobook.
Yes. You can find them on YouTube. But and I think whatever woman was reading it, she made some choices. And Mr. Wood's voice, she decided it's just like, it's so funny every time Mr. Wood opens his mouth. And I don't think it's intentional, and perhaps it's more like dark and disturbing if you're just reading the text, but hearing a grown woman like drop her voice, be like, "You're gonna be my slaves now." It's so funny.
She went the deep route. I would have gone the high
low.
pitch.
She went low.
That's crazy.
She went like, I'm gonna hurt the people you care about. And I I was just sitting here teeing the whole time, every time Mr. Wood said anything.
Be like, sir, I am going to punt you. What do you mean, slave?
This is okay.
Right?
So this is one of the things. Like, I know that the Chucky franchise is wildly popular, and I don't want to upset anybody who likes.
Don't upset me. I love the Chucky series.
I don't want to upset Stacy, who loves the Chucky
No,
franchise.
I love it too, but it
And
is
Mickey.
what it is. It's like a B movie. It's like, it is what it is.
But it's a doll. It's a like, I could take a golf club and just kind of hit it into the wall, like,
What you don't know about Chucky is that he's gonna sneak up on you because he's little.
I can still turn around and just kind of step on him.
And he's gonna say some nasty things that you're not prepared to hear, and you're gonna be so stunned that he's gonna come at your ankles and he's gonna get you.
Even if he has a knife, all he can get to is.
Oh, he has a knife, Alison.
Yeah,
he always has a knife.
Yeah, but what's he gonna stab? My calf muscle?
Yeah. How would that feel?
And then I'm gonna put him in a suitcase, and then I'm gonna put a brick on top of it, and he'll be trapped.
Well, if he's like Mr. Wood, he's gonna get out that suitcase.
Yeah, but I feel like
he doesn't feel pain, Alison. He's a doll.
Yeah, I can still pull his arm out, and he can't stab me with the arm anymore.
So immediately, Chris goes to, we have to take his head off, and that just seems very dramatic as like the first.
No, I'm with her.
His head off.
I'm with her.
They pulling and cutting doesn't work. None of it works. So I don't know. Maybe he's got special anti-cutting powers. Maybe I don't know. Chucky doesn't.
Can you imagine if
his
the
legs.
mother had come in on her two children trying to saw off a dummy's head?
I know.
Maybe
the
she would have sent them to therapy.
Maybe.
The parents come down, but then he does like the Toy Story thing where he pretends he's not alive. But I thought the same thing when they're like literally trying to scissor off his head. I was like, what, are the parents going to come back down again? Because this is a really weird scene.
Yeah.
They end up locking him in a suitcase and they bury him in the dirt pile at the construction site. But he turns up the next morning in the kitchen. And then there's a very disturbing scene where he tries to kill the dog. And I don't like that, but he tries to kill the dog. They get the dog away from him.
It seems like by this point in the Goosebumps series, R.L. Stine has decided maybe we make sure the dog makes it out. Because that first book, the dog did not make it out. And I think there was probably some feedback on that.
Mm-hmm.
I was also glad the dog was okay.
Barky lives!
Barky,
the dog names. I'm laughing because I'm scrolling through the text and I just saw when they're trying to get the head off. They're trying to twist it off and Mr. Wood goes, "You can't kill me! I have powers!"
He kept screaming about
power. And then now imagine this woman narrating the book. You can't kill me! I have powers!
You need to send me this link. I have to.
Oh man, it's
look on YouTube.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Night of the Living Dummy.
It might say like classic Goosebumps or something. Oh man. Great stuff.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay, so
should I put in like audio book or
possibly. Like I think I just searched Goosebumps Night of the Living Dummy, and for me it was the first one that came up. Or Night of the Living Dummy audiobook. I think it was the first one that came up. Because a lot of the sequels come up. / like reviews of the book.
I found it.
You found it? Okay. Yeah.
This certainly will all be edited out.
For some reason, I don't know. The audio quality is not perfect,
not good.
which is okay. Like it's not terrible. It just sounded like it
can't kill me.
It sounded like it was like record. I was like, oh, maybe this was like an audiobook on cassette tape, and so like it's an older file, and that's why it sounds like that. And then at the very end of the book, she says, "This was Night of the Living Dummy by R.L. Stine, recorded by whatever her name was. I unfortunately don't remember it at the moment." And then she says, "Recorded in 2000," and I was like, "Oh, they should have had it digitally recorded by then, I think."
I have powers. She makes it sound special.
Oh man, it was so good. I love it. It's such a choice. And it made me so happy.
It is very much a choice.
It was such a choice.
Jeez.
Oh, and then, so then the next scene is Also, I just picture it and it's just brilliant in my head, and I wish I could see it enacted out on screen. Because Mr. Wood, there's like a chase in the backyard. And so Mr. Wood's running around, the girls are running around, the dog is running around, and everyone's just running through the yard.
It's just the peak of comedy. It really is.
Oh, I love it. And they run to the construction site behind their house, which the dog almost gets crushed, but he gets out. And then Mr. Wood gets crushed because there's 2 steamrollers for some reason at this construction site leveling things out. Mm-hmm. Mr. Wood gets crushed. He emits some gross green gas, but the operator of that steamroller freaks out because he thinks he's run over a kid.
Yeah, so if you can imagine this horror
dummy like flinging around, like realistic enough that someone thinks it's a child, that he's run over a child, even though he brushes it off in the end.
The characters in this
I
book.
appreciate that R.L. Stine even put that in, because I can see him writing it as like, and the operator just kept driving. He didn't notice a thing. Whereas, like, I appreciated this little moment where the driver is, like, really freaked out, and he's like, oh, man, like, you can tell that he was like, I'm gonna go to jail for the rest of my life.
I just murdered a child.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is Dark Stein. Dark Stein bleeding through. He's like, I'm gonna write about this man thinking he murdered a child.
Like, and we did leave off a point where after Mr. Wood comes alive, Chris tries to reread the note, thinking maybe it will kill him or something. So she reads the note a second time, which is important. Because after Mr. Wood gets crushed, they go back home and, oh, look, now Slappy can walk and talk. And he's sitting up in their room and he says something like, hey, slaves, is that other nerd gone? Or something like that. I forget.
Yeah, is the other guy gone? I thought he'd never leave.
Never leave. So now Slappy's alive too. It's great. I don't know what dictated one coming alive before the other, but
yeah, I don't know. I kind of still, and maybe this is because this book is gaslighting me, but I kind of just what. So Lindy found Slappy in a dumpster. Yes, this has been established. Why was Slappy in the dumpster to begin with?
Because they said it was an old house that was torn down, so I assume it was just a dummy that was left in the old house.
Okay. So then, fast forward to, I don't know, part of me thinks, and this is just a kind of wild theory, part of me thinks that Slappy was always alive, and that
you really want that to be the answer, huh?
Well, because the alternative is Lindy is seriously disturbed, but
I truly fully believe there were no dummies alive for the first half of this book.
No, I do too, but
you need to accept it, Alison.
No, but I just want to share my theory. I just want to share my possible theory is that Slappy has always been alive, and he was in the dumpster because I don't know, he was dumped there because that's where dumpsters are for, and they had nothing to do with the house. Somebody just saw a dumpster and was like, I gotta get rid of him. And then the kids find him, and he's like, okay, new family. And I think I hoped that maybe because he was always alive, maybe he was controlling Lindy, like made Lindy think that she was doing all this stuff. And yes, I know this is me trying to escape from the horror that is Lindy, but like controlling Lindy to make her think that all these things said. Because if you remember the note inside Mr. Wood's pocket that Chris read, she says that wasn't there before. Like she says, like I didn't see that there before, which could just be she didn't notice.
Why would she I think she maybe just didn't check the pocket.
Yeah, it could be, but it may also be that Slappy put the note there because he is not. I don't know. He's not fully. He can only affect Lindy mentally. He can't move yet. He needs those words to move, and so he makes Lindy write those words down. And I don't know what, because this is already a hole in my theory, because why would he just make Lindy say them? But so the note is in Mr. Wood's pocket. Chris says them out loud. It brings Mr. Wood to life. And maybe Slappy, or maybe he really had to wait his turn. I don't know. For when they say it the second time.
Hey, Alison.
And what?
Can I tell you my theory?
I know what your theory is.
You're not going to like it.
What?
Okay, this is my new fan theory that I'm going with.
Okay.
It's the exact opposite of yours.
Okay.
My theory you're not gonna like.
I mean, maybe.
I don't think you're gonna like it.
Oh, no? Okay.
I don't think you're gonna like it. I think I would like to go with a theory that this is unusual for me, because I usually prefer all of the fantastical, magical, wacky, crazy stuff, which does happen, but my theory is that it's a shared delusion between these two girls.
Oh.
None of that stuff actually happens. None of the chase, none of the wrestling, none of the dummies talking on their own, none of it happens for real. It is in their heads.
All of it?
I don't know about that. There's more books in this series. So
that's later though. Well, we're just focusing on this.
This is for current. This is for current.
These are two disturbed children.
Mr. Wood is made up and Slappy is real?
Oh no. Just for this book. Because I'm fully on board with Slappy being real later. Mm-hmm. But I like the theory that these kids are so wackadoo that I really love the shared delusion thing.
I was with you in the first half of the book. Like, obviously there's some weird twin dimension, like some weird thing going on.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I can't get on that.
I don't think that
for either of you.
I don't think that it's like that's the intent written. Like, I understand that it's supposed to be like magic for the second half, but I'm choosing to go with these kids are just like off their rockers.
Well, I will say one thing. You were right. I don't like that.
I knew it.
I mean, I see the merit in it, though, to be honest. Like
can you picture a modern horror movie, like psychological, totally insane horror movie, where it plays out just like it's played out in the book, so perhaps at the end of the movie you can also decide if any of it really happened.
Well, that's the whole thing about, like, it's this, like, deeper, darker, like, than, like, Let's Get Invisible was like, I am the mirror version of you.
Right,
but, like, this is, like, I have a severe mental illness, and I'm going to kill my sister. Like,
right.
Okay, the Invisible Book was Flatliners. Let's just call it as it is and move on. It was a kid's Flatliner.
I wonder if, if R.L. Stine would admit to, like, I wanted to do a dummy book because Child's Play was a movie I enjoyed.
Maybe. I mean,
maybe he wanted to make a kid's version of, like, Child's Play.
Well, like, could we tie a movie version or a trend to all of the Goosebumps books? I mean,
maybe.
I bet you can find inspiration from a lot of regular culture.
It's just like he has a big old hat full of, like, pieces of paper and everyone has a different horror, like, trope. But I can see, like, the first half of the book before the magic words, like, we already have evidence and we have proof that there's something wrong with Lindy. Even though she's like, I just did it for fun, she has to be some sort of... I don't think that this is a word that they use in the psychology world anymore, I'm not sure, but, like, a sociopath, or whatever that word is.
Yeah, because how many other times has she done something like this? We don't know.
Right?
And Chris's reaction to Lindy saying, like, I did all this is not as extreme as I would have expected. Like, it wasn't.
Maybe that's why she's obsessed with, like, her jewelry things, because she talks about, I just like putting it on and looking at it, and it's like, is that her kind of coping mechanism to get away from her crazy sister?
Maybe. I mean, maybe they all have coping. Maybe Lindy tried to strangle Chris when they were children, and this is just mirroring that behavior. Like, when they were babies in the crowd. I don't know. Like, I can completely understand, like, your theory, your fan theory, Mickey, and I can, like, see the merit in it, like, 100%. I don't like it, and it's very deeply, it has an undercurrent of deep sadness for me.
Yeah.
This is why I don't like it, but it's just, this is Dark Stein. We have Papa Stein, who brings us, good time goofs and goose hangers and, all that kind of wacky shenanigans, and then we have Dark Stein, who brings us, a girl who disappears on her birthday because she had a picture taken, or like a plant that is moaning, or like that's all Darkstein. He's got an alter ego.
I was just reading the trivia about this book, and in R.L. Stein's autobiography, he said he got the initial idea from The Adventures of Pinocchio, but another inspiration was that he had a ventriloquist dummy growing up that he used to use to scare his brother.
Of course he did.
Oh my god. It was literally, as you were reading that, I was going to say, and did he have a sibling that he murdered? Oh man, I didn't know he had a brother. Maybe the brother doesn't ever talk in public because he's terrified of his
and I guess there's also a Twilight Zone episode where a ventriloquist believes that his dummy is alive and evil, but no one believes him because he's an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
They also mentioned the Friday the 13th comparison.
Mm.
I did not take that from them. I thought of that on my own. Just saying.
Yeah, no,
I'm reading it now.
Yeah, but no mention of Chucky or Child's Play though, huh?
No.
Interesting.
Well, if you were to continue your line of thought, Mickey, about like, if they had a movie today that was like this, like imagine a movie where
I'm thinking like Hereditary level, like
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Is that like if there was a movie where these two people or these two kids or whatever, they had
they're not people, they're kids.
No, but I mean like in terms of like an adult versus a kid. When I say people, I tend to think of an adult, but I realized that sounded like I was saying kids or not people, which sometimes I don't think they are because look at Lindy and Chris. But anyway, like this where this like the first half of the film is these like increasingly horrible things happening, and you're like, oh god, what is this? And it turns out this one person was doing it as a joke, and then the second half of the book is just these other like more increasing things happening, and you're like, oh crap, like this can't be fake because we already did that. This is real. And then at the very end, like to follow the madness shared between two people kind of like thing, it's like no, I was still doing that. That was still me. And you're like, whoa, okay, that's even more horrifying.
But I like the not having that confirmation.
Oh,
like,
that they're just
For me, the first half there's like things happening and you're like, ooh, spooky dummy things are happening. But then we get confirmation that it was Lindy performing these things. So at that point we know, oh, we cannot trust Lindy at this point or her sanity because what is going on there? So then you feel more comfortable trusting Chris's point of view. But then if you look at it as perhaps Chris is not stable either, you can then look back at the entire story and say, well, we only have Chris and Lindy's point of view. Who's to say what is real?
Yeah.
And it's mostly Chris's point of view as well, which I noticed at a certain point. I was like, oh, we're getting... Occasionally it would mention Lindy's point of view, but it was mostly Chris's point of view.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I guess makes sense because if we were in Lindy's point of view, we would have known what she was doing.
Exactly. Right. Yep. Oh man, fun book.
Oh, I loved it so much, and there's no episode. I think we said that, but there's no TV episode for this one.
Despite the popularity of the book, says Goosebumps fandom.wiki, it was never adapted into an episode for the TV series. However,
maybe that's a good thing in retrospect.
Maybe it may have been like
it might have been disappointing,
Yeah, or maybe like the deep, unsettling terror that I feel when I think about this book. It might not have been met in an episode because you know how hard it is to tell and not only show in a TV medium, a visual medium, but
we should do ratings. Mine is 10 out of 5's white 10 out of 5 white high tops.
Okay, well, hang on there.
10 out of 5.
I just did
10 out of 5 white high tops. 10 out of 5
white high tops because that was cool.
Is high tops one word? Yeah, because this is a shoe. I'm making it one word. Mickey, what's yours?
I would give this one.
I know it's hard to follow a 10 out of 5.
I know.
Happy.
I'm gonna give it 4.9 out of 5.
No, that's wrong.
There's always room for improvement.
What would you improve? You would make it the whole Folia Do thing. The whole thing.
No, because it's a kid's book, so like I wouldn't necessarily do that. If I was making
Stacy,
like, what?
You can't poo-poo her rating.
I just did. Well, I want to know what would make it stellar for her.
Yeah. I think, truly honestly, it's fun to discuss because we know the whole projection of the entire story, but I found myself, each time I've read this, being quite bored in the first half. Quite bored. I want it to pick up faster, quicker.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
that
fair.
is the 0.1 off for me.
Okay, gotcha.
If they had just gotten to some of that, like, disturbing sort of prank things quicker. So yeah, I'd give it 4.9 out of 5. Projectile vomit talent shows.
Okay, let me projectile vomit talent shows. Okay, it's gonna bleed into the next line a little bit, but
Worth it.
I kind of agree with you in terms of like the very beginning. Like, yeah, rereading it, I like knowing what's coming. It was thrilling because I'm like, oh no, this is her. She's doing this. This is Lindy. Lindy's doing this.
I forgot it was Lindy, and
I did
when that
too.
came, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm for it.
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. Actually,
Nice.
and that rating may have changed if there had been an episode. I don't know, but
Your
other than,
ratings
like-
are pretty generous, I can see.
Oh yeah, I'm
Consistently, except
very
for Monster
generous.
Blood.
I'm consistently generous, except for fuck.
Oh, and Let's Get Invisible, which is 1.5 out of 5 mushy Grammy cheeks. I don't remember.
I don't remember that either, but yours is 0 juggling tomatoes.
Hate that book.
I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5. Rat mustaches.
That's
Love
good.
it. That was good.
But you know, I really enjoyed it. I really love talking about this book. I feel like I could talk about it for another, like, for multiple hours, diving into the psychology of Lindy and Chris, because it's just like, I'm
so glad that you guys felt the same way, and I hope people don't think we're taking it too seriously. Like, I just think it was just so cruel, and that fascinated
It's just
me.
like fun to, like, we know that it's not intended to be dove into with such like a psychological edge, but like it's just fun to do that. Like,
yeah,
this book is so fun to overanalyze.
It's very fun to overanalyze, and I mean, if you know, looking back as adults is kind of one of the nice things we can do, having the you know, more experience than when we were children. We have more stuff to connect it to, but also just being able to like find new things to enjoy beneath the layers of text is very enjoyable, and especially for this book, because it's got so many different elements to just kind of turn over and find a new side of. It's fun. You know, no disrespect to Papa Stein, of course. I would love to see some fan art of Papa Stein and Darkstein, considering like
his two sides.
What?
His two sides.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not like kissing, Stacy. Calm down.
I just had no idea what you were talking about.
I mean, like, just
well,
like,
now that's what the fan art is going to be.
I hope so.
No.
Please,
caressing that mole on his cheek.
No. Please, lots of dummy artwork. I want to see so much dummy artwork.
I imagine Darkstein looking like Groot from Despicable Me, in like dark clothing and like bags under his eyes.
From Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, he's just a giant tree.
Okay. So we've done our ratings.
Yeah.
You can also find us at Goosebumps Pod on Twitter, Instagram, all of the fun places. If you're listening to us on a podcast service, you can also find us on YouTube. I've been sharing the episodes on my YouTube channel, One Dizzy Penguin, in case you want to check it out there. And next time, we are going to explore The Girl Who Cried Monster, book number 8.
Is it bad that I have no recollection of ever reading that book?
No, that's great, because I think this is a good one, so I think you'll like it.
I'm sure I'll remember it once I start reading it, but I just can't remember from the title. When I look at the cover, I'm sure I remember, but yes. Girl Who Cried Monster.
The Girl Who Cried Monster. So we will dive into that next time. But thank you so much for joining us, listening in. Reach out to us. chat with us. We're so happy to hear from you guys on Twitter and stuff. It's super fun.
Mm-hmm.
But we will catch you next time. Stay spooky.
Ooh,
Bye.
Bye.